In this video, we're going to walk through writing pricing rules. Let's begin by opening up System Settings, over to the List tab, down to Pricing Profiles. We all have default pricing as the original default pricing in all of our system. As you see, there are multiple other newly created profiles. We're going to left click on it once and then left click on Edit. As you see, there's multiple rules already written. Let's write a new rule. Now the new rule window pops up. We have conditions to the left and rules to the right. We have the item type drop down, item, category, manufacturer, vendor, and technician. Now these are all under the conditions, the variables of how we're going to start. Now let's talk a little bit about more information, less confusion for the TRACS data service. So if we know that we're going to write a rule for a specific item, we're going to uncheck the item option. And here we see before us our selections. So if we want to say any part that's in the system, we can leave it as super generic as just any part. Now keep in mind that this is an umbrella. It's going to encompass everything in the system. So the more generic you are, the more problematic the rule. So we want to be as finite, as specific as we can. We want this needle to be very descriptive if we're going to go find it in that haystack. Now the item is going to give us now the option to type in what specific item we're looking for. So if it's going to be a specific, let's say, master pack oil filter. I know there's 168 part numbers that start with 5 digits before the letters MP. Now I can use 5 question marks and then the letters MP, and I don't have to write 168 rules. Now, that's a wildcard shortcut. A question mark represents one number or one letter, but only one of them. An asterisk, on the other hand, would be any number of letters or numbers. So it's a little bit less specific. Now that's just a quick little side tip. But we can put any item in the system that exists. So if I did a 213 series alternator, and then I did an asterisk, that's going to find any 213 series, but it may pick up dealer items, it may pick up air filters, it may pick up oil filters. So this is a good example of maybe what not to do, to be careful with using wildcards. But if we know what specific item that we're hunting down, we would enter that item. I see very few item-specific rules unless it applies. It is more going to be in a category, for example, SFI, 5 question marks in MP if we're going to sell it at a fixed price. We have the option here to do category. NAPA belts and hoses comes to mind. There might be a specific percentage that you sell those at. But in the conditions area, we are talking about telling the system what we want. Let's give you a real-world example of vendor. When we buy from 2 Ford dealers, you might get a 25% off MSRP at one and 10 at the other. Well, if we want to retain the additional profitability at the better negotiated vendor, then we want to say at this particular vendor, we're going to use this pricing matrix that keeps the profit in-house. And at this vendor, we're going to use the one that keeps the profit there as well, but we're not going to pass the savings on to the customer. And at the very bottom here, this is one of the most elusive tricks in all of the system. We can tell the TRACS system by technician how to apply a labor rate. So the most expensive technician with the most expensive technical equipment that you have to update every year, we can't forget that, gets applied to a ticket. We can apply different labor rates at different labor costs as well. So once those conditions are met, then over here on the right, you decide the rules. What do you want to do? Cost-based markup. Big question there. Markup means multiplication. It is not the best practice in our industry. That's more of a retail bit. Profit is gross profit. That's a division equation that meets more of the needs of the business today. We have fixed price. That would be an example of an oil filter, as we mentioned the master pack example. Follow list price. It's good for some dealer examples or highly traded commodity items where there's not a lot of wiggle room. Pricing matrix is my personal favorite because now it opens up the door for pricing matrix drop down beneath. If it's labor, by the way, we have the option to add a labor variable there on top of the pricing matrix. Fantastic option that came out here in some of the most recent update versions. And then we have our rate down at the bottom. So the mixture of conditions and rules are what we navigated in our previous framework video. So I wanted to thank you for watching this video. We'll see you on the next one.